What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another video. This video is going to be looking at the Premier League match between Leeds United and Manchester United. Now, before we get into the tactics behind the match on how Manchester United won the match 4-2, check out both my books. They're online on Amazon and there's links in the description below. Also, be sure to check out Keyframe. It's how I'm making this video, and let's get right into the tactics in the match. So Leeds start their possession phase with a back four, with fullbacks generally staying a little bit more narrow, but having the freedom to also go wider, especially on the left-hand side. We'll see the fullback tendency from the left side is to stay deeper and then create a more structured build-up with an asymmetric back four, using the left fullback playing deeper and the right fullback going higher up the field. Now through the center, their midfield three also showed signs of asymmetry, with Click playing higher up the field and Forshaw playing more as a number 8 and a box-to-box midfielder, which allowed them to rotate in unique ways. So what I mean by this is the supporting midfielder from the central position on the left-hand side was typically their holding midfielder, and on this right-hand side, Forshaw would often come deeper to support this right-hand side build-up and create a makeshift double pivot in behind the first line of pressure of Manchester United. Now, Click as the number 10 often tried to make himself available via a third line pass to then break the lines of Manchester United. So with this very fluid movement, it became tough for Manchester United at times to control it, but using more space-oriented principles, they were able to have a little bit easier time than if they had gone with a more man-oriented approach. Manchester United in their defensive phase went with a 4-4-2. Seeing Paul Pogba and Scott McTominay as the two central midfielders, with then Lingard and Jadon Sancho on the wings. Also, a tendency in the Leeds United possession was their aggression of their central defenders to drive and try and commit defenders before releasing a pass. And now we see the deeper positioning from the fullback, still playing a little bit higher in line with the central midfielder, but having the tendency to also come deeper to improve passing connections and circulation. Now we'll just take a look at Manchester United's defensive shape, which improved drastically in this match at times with Paul Pogba and Scott McTominay. So as we see, diagonal compactness from this Manchester United team in this moment was very, very good, which is something we haven't seen so much from them in recent times. So they create direct access to the initial passing options for the ball carrier, and also the space between the line isn't being occupied, and they have a high level of control due to cover shadows and the proximity the players have to their man markers. So this gave Manchester United a big advantage, especially for most of the match when they were able to maintain control when Leeds had the ball. It wasn't until a few moments of chaos and a few minutes of a high transition game where that Manchester United almost came apart, and a few individual errors in marking and things of that sort. But we can look at a player like Scott McTominay on the ball side, central midfielder. He positions himself higher than Paul Pogba, allowing to then use his cover shadow to access space just in behind the advanced wide midfielder of Jesse Lingard. Then Paul Pogba becomes the holding midfielder and then is able to then have better access between the lines, with the central defenders being a little bit more man-oriented with the single forward of Leeds United and their attacking midfielder, with the fullback also controlling the wide winger. So this gives them a high level of spatial control in the center of the field, and especially with Bruno Fernandes dropping deeper on the holding midfielder. Now Manchester United in possession lined up also in a 4-3-3, with their fullbacks playing a bit higher and a bit wider with Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Then we have Scott McTominay playing as a single pivot and allowing Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes to occupy higher positions. Paul Pogba often occupied the left half space, with Bruno Fernandes playing as a number 10 and making runs in behind. Leeds United pressed in a similar fashion, with their front three looking to use positional superiority, blocking access to the fullbacks using their cover shadows, and having more of a number 10 jump and create man orientation against the Manchester United single pivot. So this off-center front three would look to press the central defenders and allow for turnovers to occur in central positions. But what would happen was the Manchester United left side fullback Luke Shaw would extend the distance between him and these players by occupying a higher and wider positions off our screen to then make it easier for a mid-range pass to occur from David De Gea and break the press from Leeds United. Now, when playing against a very man-oriented team like Leeds, it's important that the first line of pressure can break their initial man marker and then unravel the opponents in deeper areas as well. So Leeds go with the number 9 and number 10 player to block their holding midfielder and try and press the central defenders. So this often allowed Scott McTominay to become free as a single pivot, which either could be found via aggressive central defenders attracting pressure from elsewhere, or a third man concept from a player like Bruno or Paul Pogba. But it was mainly individual qualitative superiority that was allowed Manchester United to break the Leeds pressure. And with wide midfielders being so man-oriented to the fullbacks, created a lot of space in the half spaces to then progress through and unbalance the Leeds defense. So now in the second half, when substitutions were made, in possession, Man U went with more of a 4-4-2, which gave them two holding midfielders of Fred and McTominay, which then allowed their fullbacks to have more freedom in the wider areas. So we also have an inversion of our wide midfielder, Alenga, and now Bruno Fernandes playing as the number 10 still. He then joins a midfield 4 with two attacking midfielders and two holding midfielders, giving them more flexibility and build-up and allowing, as we said, the fullbacks to go wider and occupy a wider position. So this separated the connections of Leeds United and really emphasized the 1v1 situations in possession for Manchester United, and especially the players higher up the field. When these players get in one-on-one situations, it can be very difficult to defend against if these players are isolated against their man markers. And that's where we're going to wrap up the analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.